Hello, it's me again, Keba Jefang. I'm working for the Chronicle, and this is the exclusive I have with Mr. Madi Ceesay, Honorable Madi Ceesay. Of course, is the parliamentarian representing Serekunda West constituency in the National Assembly. Welcome to the Chronicle, Mr. Ceesay.
Thank you, Keba, for having me on your platform.
Thank you. We understand that you were one time a media chief in the Gambia, heading the Daily News, one of the most critical papers at the time. And then you also served as the president of Gambia Press Union. Comparing media landscape in terms of free space before and now, how do you do this?
Thank you for that question. To be honest and candid with you, the media landscape today is far more favorable than the early or the late 2000s to 2016.
Right.
Both in terms of the number of media and the kinds of media that are operating now.
Right.
And also in terms of the environment around the media. And, if I may put it this way, the freedom of media,
Right.
well, today is far more better than in those days.
Than in those days.
Yes.
Yeah, so in those days, I know your memory would be still, fresh, because your Daily News was subjected to a lot of harassment by the previous regime. In fact, it was shut down from operation based on orders from, places that were unknown to you. How brutal can you describe the former regime in terms of respect for media?
The regime, I don't know what other adjective I can use. If I had, I would have used that. But the German regime was really a very brutal regime and very media friendly. Media outlets are not only subjected to arbitrary clauses, but they subject the practitioners themselves into brutal and tortures. Taken from my own point, even before I founded the Daily News,
Right.
I used to work for the independent newspaper as the general manager, and I can vividly recall the March 2016 foil coup of late Noor Cham.
2006.
2006, rather.
Yeah.
My media then, that is the independent newspaper, we suffered seriously, and in fact, it resulted to its complete disappearance on the media list of the Gambia. So the media, the house was shut, and then myself as the general manager was arrested and brutally tortured at the NIA, together with my editor-in-chief, Musa Sedikan, and one of my reporter, Lamin Fati. So the regime then was really too unfriendly to the media, and
Right.
it was extremely brutal. The environment was terrible. And years later, after I founded the Daily News, because I had worked briefly at Independent, and some of the independent critical journalists moved with me to found the Daily News. So the content of the Independent was somehow replicated in the Daily News. So it became another Independent, but in a different name. So again, that created the dislike of the system then against the Daily News. And after a few years of operation, about 2 years operation, they shut us down arbitrarily until the change of government. We had never seen the light.
Never.
Never.
Right. So 2017, when Barrow took over, many expected that there would be a lot of change for the media, and of course, and then like you already admitted that we have seen a lot of improvement in terms of respect for media and journalists. But then, so there would be some lapses still now. What do you think, are there for journalists, or what do you think the state could do more to protect, not just to protect, but then to also ensure there are mechanisms that will protect media and journalists in the future?
I think what the Barrow government could have done now is just to put in place certain laws. But in terms of the freedom, that is there. Journalists are free to report widely, and then
but the laws are still unchanged.
With no fear. So what the system could have done to crown the total credit of creating a very free and fair media environment would have been to put in place laws. And even that is in progress. It is just a couple of days when the Minister of Information put a bill before the Parliament, which bill is now referred to a committee for consideration. So hopefully very soon, if not in this session, but in the next session, that will come into law. And that bill aims to remove the draconian laws in the existing laws.
Okay. So
the media would not only have the freedom, but there will no fear that these laws are still there. Because I remember one time, some Barro's supporters said the laws are there still. It could be applied. And that is true. Once the law is there, it could be applied.
And that's a lot of threat.
The safest, that's
very
a
big threat. Yeah.
And it could have lead to some censorship. So the ideal thing to do is to really decriminalize those laws and then change the laws so that we'll be at par in other countries. And apart from that, also there is this access to information, and there is another bill also in information. So I think so far so good. We are moving, except that it's a little bit slow. But like I said, this other bill is almost there. Access to information bill is almost before the House of Parliament.
So from newsroom, you went into politics.
Yes.
Now you're serving as a parliamentarian, not only representing the Serekunda West, but also the whole Gambia.
Very well.
And in particular, the media where you originated from.
Media is my second constituency.
Yeah, so we have a lot of laws there, including the very access to information law you talked about. I gauge the opinion of some journalists, and then they already expressed frustration that it is really sitting at the parliament, unbearable time. It could have been dealt with and then passed, but then delay has really taken place there, which is not expected. And you are there as a parliamentarian, as a journalist. What responsibility have you put in place, or role have you put in place to make sure this process is very fast track?
Well, you see, when making law, it has stages. What is more important is before the members of parliament. First, the laws will come as a form of a bill introduced by a minister or a private member. And this is what exactly the Minister of Information have done. And once that's the first step, and it will be read for the first time. Once it is read for the first time, it is referred to a relevant committee. Because why we do that, we could have just let it go straight to the main chambers and we debate on it, but it could even be more serious, more delayed if that is done. So in order to allow the bill to have an easy sale, you refer it to the relevant committee. In this case, it is referred to the Education and ITC Committee. And the Human Rights Committee is co-opted, so it's going to be a joint committee to deal with it. I am not in the ICT and the Education Committee, but I'm in the Human Rights Committee. So meaning that this same bill is going to come before us. So we will have to look at the bill. It may take a couple of weeks to really make sure that it is clean, because the objective is at that level, as a committee level, we could interrogate the bill very seriously, clause by clause, chapter by chapter. We could reject, and we could also invite expert opinions. In this case, I'm sure we will get the Gambia Press Union to come on board at one time, engage them to look at it clearly, so that by the time we are done with it completely, and it's supposed to go to the plenary, that is the whole house, much if not all of the doubts would have been cleared, and then the bill would smoothly sail and become a law. So actually, it was not sitting there unnecessarily. What the general public should also put into consideration is Parliament sits quarterly. So when it is before the Parliament in the last session and it's referred, and then that session elapses. So
I think two sessions. I think two sessions have elapsed.
Yeah, it has to like that. It was first mentioned, referred to a committee, and then by the time that committee is done with it, because when Parliament is in session, you don't look at the bills anymore. Right. So you have to wait until after the session, then you start your meetings. Committee meetings cannot happen when the session is going on.
But are you confident that it will get passed?
Very well. That's what I'm very confident it's going to come. Well, my colleagues would say, okay, it's unnecessarily delayed, but finally when it comes, they will be happy. Okay. Certainly, and I have no doubt that it will soon come into law. We are waiting for that moment. Inshallah, it's going to go.
So moving ahead, we go into politics. Now you choose politics. You are in your 4th year now as a parliamentarian. Yes. I first want to know, the first moment you decide that you want to go into politics, why? What do you seek to achieve?
What I really seek to achieve is simple. As the 4th estate of government, that is the media, I choose to go into media so that I can speak for people who cannot speak. I can also ring the bell. I can also blow the whistle. But these are things that are not landsealed. I'm not giving the mandate of the people. That's my choice. I'm doing it voluntarily. Like what you are doing now is voluntary. You are not mandated by the people. So going into politics, it means that now you are seeking the mandate of the people to say, go and speak for us. Go and blow the whistle for us. That's all the motivations why I went into politics. So it's like a continuation of what I was doing in the media. Media and politics are more or less the same. We ask questions, we carry on, parliamentary oversight functions. The media also carries oversight functions by reporting things, raising the alarm. Then people who are really concerned would see, oh, this is really happening. People who want to put certain things under the carpet are revealed by the media. So in Parliament also you carry out oversight functions with the mandate of the people, and then you have the command. You can say let it happen, and it will happen. Like I recall when I first went to the Parliament, the late Speaker of the Clerk of the House, Dudu Kebe, when we were first being orientated in the Parliament, he said, as parliamentarian, the only thing you cannot do is to turn a man into a woman or a woman into a man. But anything under the parliamentarians can do it. So. It's a continuation of what I was doing as a journalist. I want to speak for the people, and I want to make sure that governments are accountable to the taxpayers.
And then, speaking of accountability, Barrow government, just like you, is also into its 4th year. We are very soon going into the 5th year, election year. What is your general assessment in terms of delivery on promises Barrow made to Gambian people in 2016?
It has a lot of shortcomings. Gambia should have been far ahead of where we are today. When the government comes in, the government was supposed to be primarily a transition government with clear-cut paths to go. But along the line, Barrow decided that he really don't want to be a transitional president. He wants to be a full-term president, which is 5 years, and even look beyond the 5 years. So once that agenda comes into his mind, the transition program was really suffered. Because one, there should be a transitional justice. We should have now been thinking of going to referendum for the Third Republic with a new constitution. These are all part of the transition programs. And the NDP, National Development Project, has very clear and interesting things to do. But these are all abandoned, partially, not entirely. If Barrow government had focused on the transition period and stick to the programs that they were tasked to do, you would have been in a very better place now, and then the next government would have definitely taken off from a solid foundation.
How do you see his accountability, the status of corruption-free Gambia? Because this was a very famous promise he made to Gambian people, that the Gambia would be a society that is free from corruption and all forms of corrupt practices.
Unfortunately, the Gambia is more corrupt today. This government is more corrupt today than before. But the fortunate thing for Gambia and Gambians is nobody can come and deliberately squander public property, public funds, and go scot-free. That is the beauty of it. This has started when the Jammeh regime has fallen, and then the transition, the new government took over, 2016. Certain commissions were put in place, and these commissions are going to stay. So that for people who are assuming power, who want to go into power, to really learn from these commissions, to say that these are things that are going to come and stay. Because you cannot assume, the leadership of the country and then you go into other things and you think you can go scot-free. No. There will be another Janneh Commission and there will be another TRRC. So the government today is more corrupt than before. We have even seen the reports of I think the Americans, which is global. We're more corrupt today. Go into sectors. Let's say let us not go too far. Let's go to the immigration section today. You want a passport. Lot of corruption. That's at departmental level. But at governmental level is you give contract to companies and you get your kickbacks.
That's happening.
Yes, it's happening. The SEMLEC issue is one of it. This government went into contract with SEMLEX with all the bots about SEMLEX. But they still went further and give our passport to SEMLEX. What happened a few months ago? There was this internet passport scandal, diplomatic passport scandal, and our national documents are falling into wrong hands. And so those are some of the reasons I am saying the government is more corrupt today than before. But then you would not be able to unveil all these corrupt practices when the person who is really corrupt is in charge. That's why after governments, then commissions will be set up to reveal what had happened, just as what the commissions are revealing about the Jammeh regime.
So while those allegations could be true, there are sections of the society who also believe that, if you talk about corruption of Barrow, he has been empowered by the very National Assembly that should exercise its, oversight function to make sure they hold him to account. From the very beginning that the MPs accepted anonymous gift of cash, from Barrow without questioning the sources of those cash. What do you say to that?
That has always been a very interesting question for me, and I am one MP that is enjoying these pickups. Okay. But Barrow did not give me any pickup. And I said on platforms that if Barrow thinks he gave me the pickup, let him come and take his pickup.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter now.
He did not give me the pickups. The pickups were given to me by the National Assembly services. I signed a paper and they gave me the keys.
But you did not question where the vehicles came from.
When the National Assembly services pay my salary, when I'm traveling, they pay my allowances, they pay my tickets, they pay my sitting allowances, they pay all the expenses that are supposed to be paid to me. What I always tell my colleagues, that is the media, I think you have failed in your duties to find out where these pickups have come from. Because if you come to me and I said, look, Barrow never gave me any pickup, and Barrow can never tell you that he has given me a pickup.
Well, we take that.
What the media should have done was, and I have revealed my source of pickups, that is from the National Assembly services. And the National Assembly is headed by a clerk. That's the administrative arm of the Assembly. The media should go to the clerk and say, look, you have given your members pickups.
But the National Assembly in itself, would have bought this in a very plain arrangement from the sources. Did they tell you the sources?
We should have.
I mean, the National Assembly should have made it very clear the sources of these vehicles. Even though it is the National Assembly buying these vehicles, they should make it very clear where they are buying the vehicles.
My source is the National Assembly services.
But you should have questioned them, don't you think?
And they are paying me salary, they are paying me allowance. I don't ask them.
Yeah,
why would I ask them
where the allowances and taxes are coming from. The allowances and salaries are coming from taxpayers.
Consolidated for.
Exactly.
Yes.
But
it's the National Assembly that is giving me. So what is your job now as journalists?
Yeah, while we
you have never succeeded in revealing the source.
Okay.
I know if these were other countries that the media is advanced, they will reveal it.
But with your oversight function, you could have done the same, don't you think so?
Well, oversight functions, I have
question because you have
there are people who did not take the vehicles. If you talk about oversight functions, it could be in two ways. It could be in a particular committee that you go around and do your oversight functions. So the committees I belong to have nothing to do with vehicles.
Yeah, but certainly as a member.
But then parliamentary questions can be asked.
Exactly.
I would have thought the others who refused to take the car would have send in a parliamentary question and ask the, I don't know who that, maybe the minister, or they can even ask the president. They have the power to ask the president.
Okay.
If they are sure, it's the president who gave the vehicles.
All right, so we'll move ahead.
Okay.
You are also among the parliamentarians who have received some bribe from, in cash, actually, from the president. Actually, it was said that, the cash given to you and then other parliamentarians was meant to trigger, your shift from your parties to Barrow. So you throw your weights behind Barrow. And then gauging this thing and comparing it to, your role to make sure that corruption and corrupt practices is uprooted or are uprooted in the Gambia. How do you balance this?
Well, first of all, point of correction.
Okay.
I did not receive any bribe from anybody.
Okay.
But I really had received 10,000 3 times.
3 times.
From Barrow, not directly.
Okay.
But that is from Barrow because the president said, "I give you this."
But you did not ask why the president
I did not ask because I know...
You did not feel the need to ask?
No, because I think 10,000 for the president to give me 10,000 is like me giving 1,000 to any of my constituents members. But bribery would be defined like, I give you even Dalasi and said, I want you to take this Dalasi, but I want you to turn this table upside down. That's bribery. So I was giving 10,000.
No reason was...
No string was attached to it. And immediately I got it, I was out in the media to say, I got 10,000 from President Barrow, but if the objective is to buy me, he cannot buy me. Again, the next month they gave me, I was out in the media. The third time I was out in the media and it stops. So when I was in the radio the other time, I said, well, perhaps his objective is to buy me and he cannot buy me. Now he's stopped giving me the money. But I don't know why he was giving me the money.
You never asked him?
No, I don't have that rapport with the president to ask him what.
But why did you think? Why did you think the president gave you that money?
Now that he has stopped giving me, even that is an assumption, he's trying to buy me. That's an assumption from me because he never told me anything like that. But the fact that it stopped because I had never supported any other thing other than the national development. I don't follow him because of his personal political ambitions.
But why didn't you also feel the need to ask him about why are you giving me this money?
I don't sit with the president.
Yeah, but then
the first $10,000 was given to me by Lamin Cham, who is the presidential personal assistant, and he gave it to me in my bureau in the presence of thousands of people. The second one was given to me by a colleague who is in his camp now. The third one was given to him by another colleague who is in his camp now. So I don't have that relations with Barrow.
Okay.
I don't sit with him.
They've been the one giving you the money, and you
through people.
Okay, and then you felt
in
that.
Fact, the last time I said, even if he gives me $1 million, I will take it.
Okay. You still stand to collect money from him?
He has not given. He has stopped giving me. I told you. He gave me 3,000 and stopped giving me.
Yeah.
10,000. The people of Serekunda West have done more for me than Barrow's 10,000. Because I get my salaries, I get my allowances.
But would you be surprised to know that some people, that voted for you wouldn't have liked that, you take this money from Barrow?
It could be because so many thousands voted for me.
Yeah.
So it could be they wouldn't because there is no decision that you can take that everybody will applaud.
But what is your own justification?
Nobody had come
what is your own understanding or reasoning on the fact that you were taking the money? How do you judge that?
Nothing. For me, it's as nothing happened. Okay. And what you have said, if that is the case, nobody for that matter, has confronted me to say, why did you take it? You shouldn't have taken it. Nobody. Okay. Because when they first brought it, it was in my bureau. And my militants were all around. And after that, I spoke about it at several meetings. There could be somebody somewhere in my constituency who didn't like it, but they have not reached out to me.
Is National Assembly is disappointing Gambian people?
That's for the Gambian people to decide, not me, because I am member of National Assembly.
I have spoken. I have listened to your colleague Sana Jawara very recently. He did an interview and then he confessed that the Assembly, that the present National Assembly is really disappointing Gambian people, and then he believed that although it was expected to serve Gambian people, but it's not this Assembly that will cut things for Gambia.
That is his opinion, but mine is contrary. If he thinks that this is a disappointment, I will say no. This National Assembly is one of the best National Assemblies the 4 years that I have served in the National Assembly and the way bills are treated and the way ministers were called at committee levels and questioned and the way government ministers are treated in the chambers of the National Assembly, no, I'm not a party to Honorable Sana Jawara.
Yeah, but then in an instance where you have some members, you know, taking monies from the president or special people, you know, and then this National Assembly is found on the pillars of, you know, trying to eradicate all forms of, you know, corruption or all forms of, you know, things that could be seen as corruption. You know, how do you balance that? Because these are people who are expected to make sure Gambia is on the right footing.
And they are making sure the Gambia is on the right footing.
Yeah, but then on the other hand,
did they take that money at the back of the people, or did they take it the broad daylight? That's what one should ask. Are they stealing money? I would say no. I have not seen any member of parliament who went to steal money. But if Mr. X gives Y money, unless you interpret that as stealing. So I cannot use that.
You know,
I cannot use that against the 53 other members.
Mm-hmm.
And how many members are you talking about? Because you cannot judge 1, 2, 3, 10 members and say because of this 10 members' attitude, this National Assembly is disappointed.
Yeah, but majority,
I cannot do that.
Based on these kind of things, you know, majority of the Assembly have done this.
No.
Majority of the National Assembly members
it's not the majority.
Like we take into account the vehicle issue, you know.
That is given to them by the National Assembly services.
Yeah, but the president says it is you know, it is this, you know, office of the president that gave the National Assembly that vehicles, and then the presidency said, you know, those vehicles were they refused to indicate where the source or who the source of that vehicles or those vehicles were. They refused to indicate that.
Well, if that is what you heard, that you are privy to.
Yeah, but that is the statement from the president.
Then that's fine. If the president says that, then why then are people asking us who gave you the vehicles? I always said, and I stand by that. The president have never given me any vehicle.
Okay, but he
and
said
the pickup, I will drive this pickup to the last day of my parliamentary contract. It's 5 years.
All right. So recently, we've also seen that National Assembly went ahead to approve 54.4 million loan scheme actually meant for themselves. Majority of the parliamentarians approved this.
Correct.
You know, the reaction of the public has not been very positive. You know, then they condemned their members, irrespective of their political backgrounds, because we've seen that some people who are from, you know, other political backgrounds, you know, condemning their MPs in the House. That shows the high level of, you know, the reaction that goes against, that followed actually the decision you made. How is this loan scheme a priority for the Gambia, considering that we have COVID problem? We have a lot of problems that needs, the healthcare is in a mess, people are dying in the hospital. Why did the MPs feel the need to prioritize this thing over all these issues?
I would not agree with you if you said it was a priority for the members. This was not a priority for the members. We are formulating the budget, 2021 budget. And since we came into office, there is no loan scheme for members of the National Assembly. We felt it necessary for the 2021 to have a loan scheme. And when you say a scheme, it's a plan. It doesn't mean that this 54 million is going to be taken out and say, okay, that's the 54 million for the MPs. You cannot touch this. It can only go to them and it will not go anywhere, only to the MPs. It's a scheme. I for one, my argument is, it is not a gift, it is a loan. And the way I see it is an investment for government. If this scheme, which is now part of the budget lines of 2021, if every other budget line is like this scheme, I can tell you in the next 2022 budget, we would have a very minimal budget deficit. Because
if it is paid,
why would it not be paid?
Because your term is running out.
Yeah, because
and
you don't.
This is like about 1 million for each. How would you pay that?
It's not 1 million. It's 800,000.
That's what I'm saying. About 1 million.
And do you know why it is paid at $800,000? Do you know why? No. Good. That will answer your question as how is it going to be paid? Every member of parliament has a contract of 5 years. And at the end of your contract, you have a gratuity. Each of us have $800,000 to be paid at the end of your 5 years. That's why the ceiling is pegged at 800. So that even if you happen to take the whole $800,000, at the end of your term, you were only able to pay $300,000. There will be a balance of $500,000. Your $800,000 is what is going to pay that. Government will take their $500,000 from your gratuity and give you a balance of $300,000. So this loan is guaranteed, and not only guaranteed. This loan is an investment. It's going to attract interest.
You're going to add
interest. It is going to attract interest. There is no loan that has no interest. That is why the banks are surviving.
So this interest would come how?
You take a loan, you pay, it attracts an interest. For example, if the loan attracts even 3%, every member would have paid $24,000. Multiply $24,000 by 58 is $1.2 million. That is the interest that the 54 million is going to generate. It is not a personal emolument. If it attracts 5%, each member will pay at the end of the time 40,000. You multiply it as interest on top of the money. You multiply that by 58, you have $2.3 million. That is what this 54 million will generate over a period. It's a government investment. It's a loan. It's not a gift. It's not salary. It's not allowance. This is what the people should understand. It is different from. It is different. Just a minute. It's different.
I mean, you could have gotten it from the private banks.
That would be an option.
Yeah,
but if you don't want to have it at the private banks, you can create a scheme. And let me tell you.
But then I think, you know, the question of whether it should be done is not the question, but it's not the issue. But then the question is the timeliness of the issue. Because we live in a very uncertain period of time.
There is no timing in investment. This is investment. Government is investing 54 million and they will get 2.3 million out of it if the interest is 5%. If it is 3%, government will gain $1.2 million. It's an investment and not an emolument. This is what people should understand. There is no time in investment. I told you, if every budget line in this 2021 budget attracts an interest of 2 million, how many millions are we going to talk about as income?
Yeah, but what about if you people prioritize that and you take the loan and then build your own houses? What about the people you are representing? This is the question. This is the general question in the public domain.
You are doing a job and you are paid for the job. But you have people in your home, in your neighborhood, who do not have that money. It's a privileged position. You've been a journalist asking questions, paying your money. It's a privileged position for you. I've been a member of parliament. It's not a right. It's a privileged position for me. Every position goes with privileges. So how would that matter? How would that matter? To say that because you are representing people, you cannot take a loan.
Is it not the individual interest you put forward than the country?
What kind of individual interest? Money that you are loaned and money that you are going to pay with interest. How could that be an individual interest? Nobody can turn that to be an individual interest.
Yeah, but
nobody can turn that and make it ugly. Yeah, it's not possible. This is investment. Okay. Unless if you don't know what investment is. Put in 54 million, at the end of the year, you generate $2 million. It becomes 56 million now. You give that to another people, they pay another $3 million. It becomes $59 million. So the initial $54 million keep multiplying itself for the state. And people want to say that is bad. Let me tell you one thing also.
Yeah, like I said, people say so because you take the loan to build your own houses.
You can take a loan and build a house.
When you could.
Let me tell you one thing. I'm not speaking for everybody.
When some consequences.
Just 1 minute.
Just listen. Let me.
No, but you pin it to a building.
Yes,
my house.
I understand.
I'm telling you that. I am living in my own 2 complete building houses.
Yes.
One in Manjai, one in Kunkujanketa.
Yes.
Built before I come to Parliament.
Right.
I have been driving cars before I go to Parliament.
Right.
And that's many of them are like that,
yes.
although some are not, because some are too young.
What would you say to the suggestion that it's also a priority or is a bigger priority if the parliamentarians decided to take those loans like they did and then invest it in their own community centers like hospitals and other facilities that really needed it more than their individual houses?
So how
what
they
do you
are,
think?
yeah, very good. But what they are going to do with the 800,000, if they are supposed to take the whole $800,000, what they are going to do with it is left to speculations, because you are saying building houses. Somebody can say, I'm going to build something for my community. I've heard.
Yeah, but then what has been advanced in the parliament is not that I'm going to build something in the community. He said my house.
Who said that?
It's a loan scheme for your houses.
That's the misconception about the loan. Loan is a loan. If you take a loan, if we can all take loan from one source, how I'm going to spend my loan would depend on me. You can't force me to say it is not a building loan. It's just personal loan. Nobody can turn that to say that those loans are for buildings. Government have schemes, loan schemes, 3: personal loans, vehicle loans, and building loans.
But we have the finance minister. He said it's not ideal.
Is what?
The finance minister. He said the decision National Assembly took to approve this loan scheme is not an ideal one. What do you say to that?
He would say that because he has a loan scheme. Right now, the previous government he served, that's the Jame
government.
Not government, Jame cabinet. They have a loan scheme. And up till now, some of them are owing the state. Because ministers are picked and fired easily. Without no gratuity. 1 year, 6 months, they fire you. He is part of that system. How can he say that this is not ideal? And let me tell you, he is a cabinet minister. And that is his only one opinion among the 58 members.
But Sana Jawara also said
no, I'm not talking about, I'm saying, I just want to qualify, when a minister said it's not ideal, but the majority of the MPs said it's ideal, who is he?
But we have some people, even among those people
I said who voted majority, yes. I don't say the whole house.
No, I'm coming. I'm saying, I have heard some people who were among the people who voted yes, we need this. Today they turn and then they said, we did this decision, but it's not correct. Well, what do you say to that?
That's their business, because I, for one, cannot be taken by people. I am guided by my consent. If I take a decision, out of 100 decisions, it is very unlikely that I would say no to 5 or 4 of my decisions. No. Unless you are not yourself. When you are taking decisions, you must be guided by your consent and take it. But if you're not guided by your consent, you can act today left, tomorrow right. That's the kind of parliamentarians you are maybe talking about. But the likes of me, who have voted yes for it, I said it's genuine because there's a scheme, loan scheme for government civil servants. If you put their schemes together, personal loan is 100,000. Car loan is 750,000. Building loan is 1 million. You put them together, the civil service has a loan scheme of 1.9 million. We are not civil servants. We are public servants. We said, let's create a loan scheme of only 800,000 personal loan. Not building loan, not car loan, personal loan, 800,000. Somebody, $1.9 million, $1.9 million, $100, and nobody's talking anything about it because they are not people's representatives.
Well, you should talk about it. You, the parliamentarian.
You should know it and raise it.
But then
do you know that?
It's very highly
what I just told you, do you know that? You didn't know.
I didn't know about
now
it.
Now you know, work on it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, as a parliamentarian, you also have a duty, to raise some of these issues and make sure you put an end to them.
No. Like I told you earlier on, every job has a privilege. You cannot say no to civil servants loan scheme. No. These are some of the privileges that keep civil servants in the job. These are some of the privileges that can keep some certain civil servants to be honest.
Okay.
These are some of the things. That is why some government people leave government services to go for other appointments because the enticement
and them
it's not there. So you have to encourage. You have to motivate your people.
So this is one way of being encouraged.
To motivate the civil service should have that.
And
yes,
then
they have a right.
And then I'm talking about
the members of parliament also need the motivation. So this personal loan of 800,000.
Okay.
It is not wrong anywhere. And if we come to comparisons, because we are not. We don't live in an island. We live in West Africa. Go to Senegal. Look at some of the privileges that members of parliament have. Go to Guinea-Bissau here. Go to Ghana here. The parliamentarians in Ghana are paid $3,800 a month.
Yeah, but you talk about that. You also talk about the presidency, the difference between our president and their president.
Not even that. Don't even talk. Don't go to the president. Just go to the country's income. Don't go to the personalities.
Exactly.
And that is why we are cutting our coat according to our size. If they can pay their members of parliament $3,800, you are paying your parliamentarians $25,000. Look at the difference between $3,800 and $25,000. Look at you. Think about your own income. Compare it to the journalists in Ghana, in Nigeria, in South Africa. It's like sky and...
So if you want to do a comparison on that...
No, you will not. Comparison in the sense that to draw people's attention. Look, this is what the Gambia can do. But others do more because their economy is big. So it doesn't mean that because they are doing it, we cannot even do something to motivate our members of parliament. Not a gift, just a loan that attracts interest and investment for the country. Something that has to be paid is guaranteed. How can anybody turn that to be otherwise? You leave the civil service, go to the private sector, go to NAVEC, they have their loan scheme. Social Security have their loan scheme. GPA have their loan scheme. Every job has a privilege. This is what you and I should understand.
Okay.
That's what you should understand and then disseminate it to the others, your audience, to understand that privileges go with jobs.
All right.
So there's nothing wrong with $800,000, which is even guaranteed to be paid.
Yeah.
I see nothing wrong with that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ceesay, for the time. And then we hope to see you again.
You're most welcome at any time.
Thank you.
Just give me a call and I'll guarantee interview to you on any topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.